everyone, and welcome into the Rochester Press Box. Thanks for joining us. I'm Bill Pucko, joined by Tariq. How you doing, man?
I'm throwing my name in for the Nets coaching job.
Who would want that job right now?
I don't care. I just love to be the Nets coach, see if I can just bring all the personalities together. Yeah, just for a week and then quit.
Pat Duffy.
How's it going?
Welcome back, 27.
Okay, yeah, well, first of all, in celebration of the Sabres back on the warpath and Tre'Davious White being activated, my very fun Tre'Davious White
Turn.
goalie. God, my back hurts. Goalie Academy. Tre'Davious White Sabres jersey. I think I might be the only one that has
How cool
this.
is
It's
that?
one of my favorites.
Alrighty. Hey, you brought him up. Let's talk about him. And it's, we're not going to solve the Brooklyn Nets problems here in Rochester. But it occurred to me as I watched this whole thing unravel this past week about the most dysfunctional franchises we've ever seen. This has to certainly rank among them.
Oh, we're going to solve it because we're never going to do this again. That's what's so great about this. We're never going to have two athletes basically say we want to go to a franchise, basically take over the franchise, do whatever we want.
They don't need a coach.
And that was the first strike and the second strike. And then everything else just fell apart after that. The first strike is when you have a star athlete who believes he could be a coach. His number two can be a coach. Everybody on the team can be a coach. Anybody can be a coach. It's not that big of a deal. Then you bring in a number of different athletes on their decline to be a part of that team. And it never really was a team.
But it kind of do us a favor. All they wound up doing is proving you need a coach.
Well, you not only do you need a coach, you need a coach that's actually coached before in the NBA or at least done some film work, at least. But here comes the gloat. I already know what this is.
What? When you do the beard thing.
2 years ago, go ahead, the floor is now yours.
It's 2 years and a month to the day. And there's video you can go find if you want. I said it the day that all three of these men came together. You tried it before with Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and the rest of them. With Jason Kidd as head coach, it didn't work. You tried it again 10 years later. Of course this wasn't going to work because these players were more volatile. They're more talented, way more volatile. How did they not see this coming? Like Jason Kidd. Steve Nash is Canadian, so he doesn't have the attitude to handle that. He's not farm Canadian. He's city Canadian. He's soft Canadian.
We're saying a farm Canadian could have handled it?
Look, you've seen some of those NHL coaches, man. No, but the point I'm making is you can't put someone with no experience in that room with those people. And we had seen up to that point that Kyrie was insane, legitimately insane. And to give him the platform they gave him and the power they gave him and to let him keep inch by inch eating up all of the authority. Is there a guy that went from everyone cheered for him in Cleveland to what is happening faster?
Well, we love this, don't we? I mean,
we love the
fans
talent
of a game.
We love the talent, and I think what happened
we love
is,
implosion.
we love that too, but we love the talent and the possibility of what it could have been. But the issue here is these two players, who basically orchestrated this trip there, were not a cohesive unit. Even when it came to whether or not to get the vaccine, whether it was whether I want to stay or whether I want to go this past summer, this was never a cohesive unit. You didn't know who was running it. The general managers basically handed over the keys and said, "You guys work it out," and they were never able to get it. It was so bad, James Harden had to leave the team.
No, well, that's the funniest part. Like at the time, James Harden he's the problem. Look at him. How could he not follow through with? Well, no, he was the smartest one the entire time.
Have you got anything that can? Because I have one. I want to get it out there. Have you got anything in your history that compares to the dysfunction of the?
I want to hear yours because I can't think of one.
I can't imagine you have anything better than what we just saw.
This one's a little simpler. Does Ted Stepien? The name Ted Stepien mean anything to you?
Ted Stepien.
He was one of the early owners of the Cleveland Cavaliers in 1980 to 1983. Mm-hmm. He was so bad an owner that the NBA instituted a rule that says you cannot make a trade unless we approve it.
Yeah,
the league had to approve his trades. He dealt away 5 consecutive first-round draft picks into the future. They called them the Cleveland Cadavers back then. That was the nickname that they gave them. And that was to me the most dysfunctional situation I've ever seen.
That dysfunction, that's dysfunctional, but what's unique about the story we're talking about here, it's the first time that dysfunction is coming from the floor into the box, the owner's box. This isn't Daniel Snyder being a moron. This isn't the owner of the Carolina Panthers instituting Jeans Friday to look at the rear ends of his female employees, which, by the way, is a real thing. You can Google that. These are two players having checks written to them by the owner of this team, who somehow got onto the ship, put on their eye patches, took out swords, and pirated this thing. And nobody has stopped them. How is Kyrie Irving, as we tape this, how has he not faced any punishment in any way?
How does Sean Marks still have a job? Remember, this is a GM that co-signed all of this with a brand new owner. So this is, the clock is ticking on this. The Nets might dissolve this entire team by the end of this year.
This is Rochester Press Box talking Buffalo Bills next. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Buffalo Bills segment. It's become one of our favorites week to week here. Brought to you by Ralph Honda for 3 generations and celebrating 50 years as New York's first and oldest Honda dealer. Visit Ralph Honda today and find out how we do Honda right. You can go to ralphhonda.com. 13-point favorites this week against the Jets.
Yep. Is that surprising? Look,
I just roll it out there. They're on the road. It's just the numbers week to week are staggering.
Look, I don't know what they're doing, because you would think maybe they're trying to pull people over to New York because they know the Bills are such dominant Vegas forces right now, sportsbook forces. Look, I am surprised by that, only because the Jets' defense seems to be a halfway decent defense. Now, they're not going to score points. Zach Wilson has looked not ideal. He has been injured, so maybe give him a little more time. Yeah, I mean, what are the Jets rolling out against the Bills where you think that...
Without their running back.
Yeah, I mean, give me a reason.
Yeah,
You know, I'm sorry, I did a little bit ahead of myself by bringing that up, because the first thing I wanted to talk about is like these additions.
Yeah.
The additions on the trade deadline. So tell me
yeah.
what you think that makes a difference.
I like Marlowe. I like Hines. I think it's smart. One guy on defense, one guy on offense, one at a running back position. You know you need to take some pressure off. Could it get colder? Elements, all these different things I've talked about for 2 years. But nobody wants to listen. They think they got the greatest quarterback in the world.
Does Hines bring anything to the
I think
table?
so. I think it brings just another back, another set of legs, just in case you need them. You don't have one back. You don't have two backs. You got to have 3 or 4 of them. That's just the way it sort of rolls right now. They don't have a feature back. He's not a feature back. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just somebody to bring in. You weren't doing anything with Zach Moss anyway, and those draft picks are pretty much down the line. Was it 5th rounder, 7th rounder? You're not losing that much. You're just basically adding more to what you had.
I got bad news, mister. I'm going to tell you so.
Here we go.
They didn't trade for him to run. They didn't. He's a pass-catching back. And the fact of the matter is, if they wanted someone that was going to run the ball, they would have went and traded for a running back that was going to run between the tackles. Because Devin Singletary, although he was playing well against Green Bay and even the week before against Kansas City, that's not his style. The Bills are going to throw the ball out of the backfield as their running game. And I will laugh in your face and stroke my beard in the second round of the playoffs while they successfully do that onto their Super Bowl.
That's really great.
So you like him?
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, look.
He hasn't run the ball, like to your point, I don't think he's run the ball very much more than Zach Moss did for Buffalo.
Yeah, well, Zach Moss he and Case Keenum were the only 2 players on Sunday night against Green Bay to not take a snap.
So let me get this straight. You truly believe that this team, for the next 10 games in the regular season, isn't going to run the ball. They're going to pass the ball every single time.
Okay, no, they're going to pass the ball every single time. Look, they've committed to the run in the first half of the last 2 games. Kansas City and...
No, the 49ers invented that back in the 80s. I mean, you run your short pass is your running game.
Yeah.
So let me double back to the Jets game. Okay, so it's how do you see this game this week?
I see the Jets getting blown out. Listen, if you saw that game last week, and I did against the Patriots, Wilson, I don't care how healthy he is, he ain't ready to play. I mean, he's just not at that level yet. You're going to learn a lot about him by the end of this year and whether the Jets should move off of him yet. I'm not saying his career is over. I'm just saying that you might want to find out whether or not this guy's really got what it takes to lead this team. That being said, I want to give Robert Saleh another week to figure this out. Now, I'm not saying they're going to beat the Bills. I think they're going to lose by 2 touchdowns. I said that last week again against Green Bay, who actually put up a little bit of fight in that second half. But I'd like to see if Robert Saleh can basically get everybody moving again, because the Jets were on a great run for about 2 to 3 weeks until they hit that wall last week. I think they're going to hit a bigger wall this time. Let's see if they can fight through it.
No, but they were on a great run up until the halftime of that game against the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
There was a pick 6 that would have made it 17-3 going into the half that was wiped out by a roughing the passer call. The game totally turns on its end, but that's what leads me to believe that when the Bills start doing what they do, the game's over. The Jets showed me last week watching the game, because I watched it wire to wire too, when things start to go bad for them, it's not great. They lay down. And look, there are things that are going to go bad when you play the Buffalo Bills.
Are you worried about complacency, though? In that Green Bay game, I thought that the Bills should have just put the hammer, gas to the pedal, and basically blew that team out, and they didn't.
No, that's what got him in trouble, though. They should have run the ball in the second half. Instead, they decided to chuck it all over the yard.
Yeah, they got 30 seconds. Why is it that Singletary is so great in the first half when they don't need to run, and he's invisible in the second half when they should be running?
I have a theory.
I don't get this at all.
I have a theory, and I could be wrong about this. That coming out of halftime, Ken Dorsey was like, we're running the ball well. I don't know. We're supposed to throw, though. I don't know what to do. Like, I think they feel more comfortable throwing the ball, which is fine because you're winning doing it. One bad half from your quarterback in 7 games does not scare me. Keep doing what we've been doing. Do not become one of these teams that tries to exploit a weakness when you do something better than exploit other people's weaknesses on your own.
Yeah, I was in the stands for that Green Bay game. Being in an area of the crowd that was so unhappy for a team that was beating Green Bay by 10 points.
Let me tell you
Forget
this.
that they didn't cover by a half a point.
If the Bills get 100 yards rushing, they win the game every single time.
What is this? This is stupid.
No, it's not the stupid. All right, fine. You want your
No,
quarterback
but
out
they
there
did get 100 yards rushing. They did.
Don't run the ball.
Are we including Josh Allen? Are we including Josh Allen? Okay, so that's a stupid statement.
That's fine. That's fine. Guess what? It's less time for him to get hit, and then he's
getting hit running out of the...
You got him covering this week?
Yeah.
You got him covering this week?
Absolutely.
Cover my ears.
Our Buffalo Bills
Absolutely.
segment was brought to you by Ralph Honda. Like it or not is next.
You can win without a running game. Good.
Here's the Press Box Trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Again, Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy, looking for the perfect family getaway. I found this one in North Tonawanda, Buffalo. It's the perfect hidden gem. I'll take you here. Search for the Getaway Guy on Facebook.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. This segment, like it or not, brought to you by Sport Clips, where the MVP experience is better than ever. Sport Clips, the pros in men's hair, no appointment needed. Stop by a Rochester location today. Like it or not, well, we covered what the Buffalo Bills and you thought, and you liked what they did at the trade deadline, which wasn't much. There were a fair amount of deals made by teams that Buffalo's going to have to play in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming you're talking about Bradley Chubb in Miami. I do find it interesting that Miami all of a sudden believes that they have a Super Bowl shot. I enjoy it. I'm enjoying this because, first of all, their Super Bowl odds in Vegas did not change in any way by adding a defensive end. Second,
Interesting observation.
I'm just saying.
No, really.
I mean, like the Bills or Dolphins fans were freaking out. Oh, here we go. Here's our push. I mean, look, you're improved, but...
Some people have actually said that they're the 3rd best team in the AFC.
Yeah, shut up.
I do not agree with that. No, I just wanted to say it out loud so that you didn't have to. I don't think Miami's the 3rd best team in the AFC, but that's fine. I mean, we still got a lot to go. They are definitely riding Tua's wave, though. They really believe Tua is the difference for that team.
Well, the problem that I had with the Dolphins is I think they've just about reached their ceiling and they've mortgaged their entire future with the draft picks that they've sent off elsewhere to get to the point of being, at best, the 3rd best team in the conference.
I think that's a great call. And here's the thing. You're right, at best. And you're not even close to the best team in your division. Think about that. Let's say you are the 3rd best team in the AFC. You're not going to win the division as long as Buffalo is doing what they're doing. And it's not like you're preparing for when Buffalo is going to hit cap hell in 3 or 4 years. If it happens, you're doing it now when the Bills are playing at their absolute best with the absolute most scary weapons. So, again, what are you doing?
And what wasn't done? Green Bay.
Yeah, I have no idea what Green Bay is doing. I think they're going to reset the clock like Tampa Bay did and just basically, let's just play out the schedule, get ready for next year, and rebuild and be ready. I do think Tom Brady is coming back, whether people like it or not. I think he's going to be back for another year. You talk about putting all your chips in the middle. San Francisco did it. I mean, this is basically Super Bowl or bust for San Francisco in the NFC.
And quickly, I think I have to get this right. The National Women's Professional Soccer League.
Yes.
Now there's one extra letter in there. Best ratings ever. They got a national TV contract. It was a big deal on Saturday afternoon watching those teams play.
Well, it's something different. I get it. I guess I got 5 words. Can I bet on it? And this is the number one thing. The other thing too is like when it comes to soccer, what would you rather watch? Men's U.S. soccer or women's U.S. soccer? What's been great for the last 10 years? Women's soccer. So it took a while. I know a lot of people are like, well, we had one here, it didn't work, it was great. Maybe it was a little bit too early. Maybe it's peaking now and it's totally different. And there's another wave, but betting on sports is huge.
That's a good point. I think that the soccer, golf, and tennis, I think watching women's sports as a spectator sport, those three at least, are absolutely on a par with the men.
Well, but here's the thing. Those three have also been getting the most play nationally for the last 2 decades. I've heard an argument made from several women's sports commentators that when you give attention to women's sports, when you can find it on television and it's not relegated to, 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday nobody cares about, that they get the numbers. And actually, if you look throughout even the sports, the WNBA, and it holds up. It's legitimate.
Other sports are dropping too. College football ratings have gone down a little bit. So yeah,
that's why they sent that opposite college football and it put up a good number.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it or not, brought to you by Sport Clips. Unfinished Business is next.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. McArdle's is open 7 days a week with dining available indoors and out, takeout and delivery. Come home to McArdle's.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Time for Unfinished Business, brought to you by the Genesee Brew House, your beer destination since 2012. Visit the gift shop, enjoy a tasting at our pilot brewery, and dine at the pub-style restaurant at the Genesee Brew House. Unfinished Business. Pat, start us.
Sabres are on the warpath and they're playing great hockey, but that's not what's most exciting this week, because Wednesday night the Sabres unveiled their reverse retro jerseys for the season. If you're not familiar, Adidas and the NHL, they team up and they take an old style logo, mix it into something modern, and it's really cool. And this year they're bringing back the goat head, the old Buffalo Sabre, not this one, but a different one. White jersey, white pants, white socks, and here's what bothers me. You guys know that I'm jersey nerd, right? Any NHL team that wears white gloves on the ice doesn't deserve to win. You look like a butler. And everybody that plays men beer league hockey knows that the guy that's wearing white gloves out on the ice is the worst guy on the ice. He probably has a smoked visor and yellow skate laces as well. Why, for the second year in a row with the reverse retro jerseys, did they decide to put white gloves on those players? Give it a couple of weeks, they're gonna look brown and dingy and gross, and that's what you deserve. I'm cheering for the Sabres because I'm a diehard and I want to see them do well every time they're on the ice. But if they lose in those white gloves, told you so.
As I'm recording this right now, I'm not sure exactly where these high school football teams are ranked, but it is great to see that UPrep, East, and Monroe High School have been able to put up dominant numbers this year when it comes to football. It's one of the great things about New York sports that we love. High school football. Some of these kids will not go to college. Most of these kids will not go to the NFL. But what's great about it is the local pride you get to see, where alumni get to come out, people get to support teams within their area, whether it's city or suburbs. It's great to watch high school football at its best. And right now in the city, the 3 teams to watch, if they're still around, is got to be East, Monroe, and UPrep. Programs that had to be rebuilt or started from the ground up. Appreciate what you have. Who knows where it's going to be in about 5 to 6 years from now.
Do any of us still hate the Chicago White Sox, the cheatingest of all-time teams through the 1919 World Series? When exactly did we stop holding that against the franchise? Did it cease to be an issue only after there was no one left alive who witnessed it? I intended that to be my base case in a defense of the Houston Astros. And wasn't it about time for sports fans to live and let go of the 2017 bang in the trash can cheating scandal that is somehow already 6 years old? Because we did, after all, eventually forgive the White Sox. But I was wrong. We call ourselves a society of second chances, and there are instances of Americans getting up off the floor and reinventing themselves. But it comes at a cost, because while we might forgive, we don't forget. Michael Vick will always be just a dogfighter. Barry Bonds will always be just a steroid champion. Rob Gronkowski will always just be that guy who cheap-shotted Trey White on the sideline. Cole Beasley's an anti-vaxxer. Kyrie Irving is crazy. Tom Brady's a football inflator. The list is endless. Nothing else matters. The Houston Astros are trash can bashers, end of discussion. Because it makes us feel better We measure ourselves against the worst moments in others, especially the rich and the famous. It is not our most admirable trait, because unless your name is John Alhart, nobody is perfect. That is our Unfinished Business, brought to you by the Genesee Brewhouse, and that is our program, gentlemen.
Don't do it to him. Don't say that about what he said in his Unfinished Business.
I'm just going to say real quickly, Shoeless Joe Jackson is yet to be inducted into the Pro Baseball Hall of Fame. None of the Astros were punished. That's the difference.
There is a difference.
But they are rooted against all the time, are they not?
Well, that must really hurt their feelings as they're going
What,
to
the White Sox?
No, the Astros.
That is our program. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next week with the Rochester Press Box.